Okay, here's the deal. At WQED, we're working on a new program called What Makes Pittsburgh Pittsburgh, about various people, places, and things that make our part of Western Pennsylvania charming and unusual.
What makes any city special, I think, is its people, number one. Of course, geography is somewhere in there too, but
Pittsburgh is a very multi-layered city. I think any old and complicated city is.
We're remembered for guys who wore white shirts of having to change their shirt at noontime.
You know, Pittsburgh internationally still has sort of a horrible reputation. You know, it's hell with the lid off. And I'm just always amazed when I have visitors come and they see Pittsburgh and they see how clean it is.
We kind of combine the small town with a big city type feel.
I think our neighborhoods, our ethnic diversity, and our work ethic are really kind of what separates, I think, Pittsburgh from the rest of the country.
As part of this new show, we want to celebrate Pittsburgh's engineers and their accomplishments. So we talked to some folks, like engineer Tony DeGioia and George Tannehill from the Coppers Company, when they came to have lunch at the Engineers Society. They met Carl Angeloff, who's now an engineer at Bayer. We also talked with Deb Lang, civil engineer and director of the Steinbrenner Institute at Carnegie Mellon, Alex Schuley, civil engineer and a senior VP at Mellon Financial, and we met with writer Tim Palooka, who was busy working with Sherry Marchand on a new history of the Engineers Society in 2005. We thought they might all help explain what is an engineer, especially in Pittsburgh.
an engineer is really a problem solver.
Actually, we build things to improve the health and welfare of people.
One definition of engineering that I like is that engineering is the art and or science of making things practical.
They're practical scientists is what they are. They're practical scientists. They take what science has taught them and they use it to make useful materials, useful structures, bridges, tunnels, roads.
They are always supported by a huge stack of papers.
They're very serious people. They like to quantify everything that we do.
And they don't deviate much from specifications, you know, this is the way it was supposed to be.
It's the application of science to doing things and making things that are useful.
And engineers have a horrible image problem in terms of being, you know, even geek is too friendly.
Engineers have been classified as nerds, but you know, I think that we tend to think of ourselves as folks who really get into the details.
What makes the Pittsburgh engineer special is his passion for engineering.
We had so much heavy industry, and iron and steel and glass and coal and a lot of things that were very engineering intensive.
Those who built things had to intermingle with those who manufactured products. And to that extent, we're different.
We had a lot of people who were experts in the designs of blast furnaces, electric furnaces, coal handling devices, anything that was associated with the iron and steel industry.
You know, Pittsburgh wouldn't be the same without engineers, that's for sure.
You're proud to be part of this club. Not necessarily the Engineer Society, but the club of engineers that make their profession here in Pittsburgh.
But there is this old ESWP, the Engineers Society of Western Pennsylvania, on 4th Avenue.
Well, I think the founders back in 1880 realized that it was a good idea to pull all of the various disciplines together.
The Engineers Society of Western Pennsylvania was founded in 1880 at a time when a lot of individual cities around the country were forming these technical societies so that people could exchange notes, basically, on what they were doing and what the latest methods were. And
by the end of the first year, they had 184 members, all paying $5 in dues, and they were successful in the black from the start.
And when we started to dig into our records and find out the founders, who they were, Andrew Carnegie, Alfred Hunt of Alcoa fame, George Ferris, who designed the Ferris wheel, we said to ourselves, my goodness, that's a list of who's who.
There's a number of societies out there. There's the American Society of Civil Engineers, and there's, associations of electrical engineers and mechanical engineers and transportation engineers, highway engineers, etc. This is one place where there's really sort of a cross-pollination of all those different sorts of engineering.
During their early years, they actually moved around quite a lot from space to space, building to building. They rent quarters in different areas of the city.
In 1921, they finally landed at their most permanent location in the William Penn Hotel, which lasted about 66 years until they moved here in 1987.
It's a very nice building, of course, and it gives us an opportunity to sit at lunchtime and talk to some peers, talk to some of our competitors. It's nice to talk to competitors.
So it's a gathering place of know-how and knowledge and educations of all types.
Through the creation of the International Bridge Conference, the International Water Conference, the Brownsfield Conference, we've made the Engineer Society of Western Pennsylvania actually one of the premier engineering societies and organizations in the world.
We're really trying to focus on, enhancing our image and our industry. And so lately we've been trying to focus on how we get young people involved in it and get them down there and see what we do.
We have a legacy that's just unbelievable, except we don't tell many people about it, but we really are a center of great engineering history, and what we need to do is to determine how we can carry that forward now.
So tonight we celebrate this society for 125 years of service to Pittsburgh and the world.
If you looked across the banquet room, there'll be, I said, 1,000 people. Let's say 600 of them are engineers, okay? If they average 10 years of experience as engineers, that's what? That's 6,000 years of experience. And I would venture to say that it's probably average a lot more than 10. They probably average at least 20. So you're over like 10,000 years of engineering experience all in that same room. So you talk about what makes Pittsburgh Pittsburgh. I mean, I think that's just an incredible collection of knowledge in that banquet room.